Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic, don't fall. I am a big fan of Judge Judy on American television. You don't mess with Judge Judy. What Judge Judy says goes. Judge Judy does not suffer fools or laziness wisely. Judge Judy is New York tough and human wise. And be sure to go to bolesblogs.com to read my I Had a Judge Judy Sex Dream article to really bring into focus my infatuation with Miss No New York nonsense. On a recent episode of the Judge Judy television show, Judy sort of stopped the arbitration to share a bite of wisdom from one of her doctors, who said, "The secret to living a good, long, full, and healthy life is as simple as 2 words. Don't fall." Don't fall. Isn't that amazing, simple, straightforward advice that is almost impossible to follow? Because we all fall in various ways and memes, and in every realm and ultimate venerations. But actually falling down, physically hitting the floor with your torso or your head or your hip, is sort of impossible to avoid as you age as a human being. Because your body is decaying in motion, while your mind may be younger than your bones. What to do? I have fallen many times in my life, mainly because I was running when I should have been walking. Read my bolesblogs.com article about disastrously tripping in Times Square for more insight into the reality of that nightmare. Because if I had fallen forward 1 more inch that night after I was done teaching, I would have hit my temple on the corner of a brick planter, and I would not be here speaking with you now. And so why do I run? Well, I usually run while crossing a busy street. Cars in the urban core tend to speed up and not slow down when there's a pedestrian in the road. And unlike some of my fellow walkers, I'm not interested in daring a car to hit me. By walking slowly and without concern, yes, I'll run for my life. As well, when I get tired, I tend to drag my feet. And when you live in an uneven urban core where the streets and the sidewalks are always inevitably all made of dangerous tripping obstacles, the fact that we don't trip over ourselves and our environment 10 times a day becomes a verifiable modern miracle. So how do we avoid not falling, not tripping, not tumbling down the stairs? It is our job to walk and to test out our joints. And sitting around all day, or involuntarily being wheeled around by others all day, are just as terrible to longevity as falling. Now, some say balance is the key to staying upright. Balance on one leg, do yoga, strengthen your feet. The word on diabetes is that it messes with the delicate nerve endings in your feet, and feeling the ground is vital in not tripping and falling. And so if you have diabetes and you tend to have dead feet, there are diabetic shoes on the market where the insoles of the shoes vibrate just a bit to help wake up your feet so you won't fall while you're walking. I have no idea if the vibrating insoles work or not, but the idea behind the notion makes sense to me. Anyway, awareness helps in not falling. But what happens if the mind begins to slow before the body is ready? and signals between intention and reaction are not aligned. How can we always keep the mind functionally synced to the rest of the body? It's a hard task and a tough thing. Errors in our youth tend to come back to haunt us in our older age, if we're lucky enough to get to that golden dawn. And that's where the trade-offs begin between expectation and ability. A lot of money and research has gone into keeping the aged body alive and active. And yet, we rarely improve or get better once the accelerated aging process begins. And I know broken hips are really terrible to recover from at any age. A doctor friend of mine explained the problem to me this way. He told me to take a hard pretzel in the traditional crisscross knotted pretzel shape that is baked. And he told me to then break that pretzel with my fingers. But I was only allowed to break that pretzel in one place, not two or three. Well, it was an impossible task. You cannot break one part of a hard pretzel without breaking the opposite side in the same place, or shattering the pretzel completely. And you end up with a fistful of pretzel crumbs. And that was my doctor friend's point. Your pelvic circle, he said, is the same as a hard pretzel. You don't break your hip in one place. You break your hip in multiple places. And oftentimes, you cannot effectively surgically repair a shattered hip. You have to be bedridden to try to heal your hip, and you hope some other ailment doesn't pop up to attack you while you're trying to recover in bed. Think twice the next time you bite into a hard pretzel, and I dare you not to feel that bite in your hip. A teacher friend of mine, he was the high school band leader, and he was working in his garage one sunny day in the Midwest, and he was putting away a snow shovel. He was standing on a stepladder. He lost his footing, landed on his head, and died. Dead from cleaning up his garage, and he was only 33 years old. Don't fall. Yes, aging is scary, because it is a futile future wrought with fear and downward spiraling. And it is all aimed directly for each of us. If we are lucky enough to live long enough to face the fateful end of the each of us as we tumble into the grave. And the grave is the one fall we can never avoid. Recovery and attitude are everything in the reformation after the fall. And yes, we will all fall, even though Judge Judy urges us to not fall. And we must do everything possible to get up from the ground and to think again and to live again, because otherwise we will start to fall repeatedly in really awful, unrecoverable ways that have nothing to do with physiology and everything to do with our status of mind. I argue the worst thing that can happen to us isn't just falling down. The worst thing that can happen is just giving up. And we have all seen people give up on their lives because of ailments or broken hearts or pretzel shattered dreams that can never be mended. And that attitude of living, that it is better to be alive than dead, that pain and suffering are urgent markers of life, triumphs over all stinginess against the darkness, and trauma and terror light our path into the next ethereal realm. If we can only keep the faith of ourselves alive until there is nothing else to know, we will all have a final fall. But only the fortunate among us will never know what befell us. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.